Good afternoon. This is the very first time for me to be on a stage. I'm here to talk about my entrepreneurship journey, which is all about time, the time I've spent trying to do what I'll be showing you in a few minutes. This is my side hustle, or as my brother calls it, an expensive hobby. So let me move to the next slide. And I've put my story on a timeline so it's much easier to explain. I grew up in Ethiopia. I was born in Kenya. I have a Kenyan name, not an Ethiopian name, Jomo. My company name is Jomo Furniture. This is my second attempt as an entrepreneur. During the daytime, I work at the World Bank as a graphic designer and a data scientist. Very fancy title for me. Personally, I hate numbers, but I work in the statistics group, so figured that one out. As a kid, my dad enrolled us or got us involved, which we would call apprenticeship here, at a furniture place as we were becoming teenagers. When I say us, it's me and my younger brother, who's a year younger, but we were classmates starting from second grade. So he's more like a friend and a brother and an advisor. He got us involved in a small furniture company that was around our house. It was a small shop, pretty much two-car garage operation. We got to learn some skills, but the reason we liked it as kids was it was a good reason to leave the house, the compound. We felt it was like prison because my dad was strict, a former military officer who did not allow us to leave the house. But the only time that he let us out was to go to this thing. So summer break was spent at this place where I think influenced my future decision to lead a life in design. When I came here, after spending, like most freshmen, wasting my time, a full year, attending college, not making decision what I wanted to learn, I finally discovered what industrial design is, which is product design, through a professor that I happened to run into a hallway at the University of Kansas, which I decided that's what I'm gonna do. As a fifth-year student in industrial design, you're asked to design something new or improve on an already pre-existing product. For my thesis, what I picked was creating a line of African furniture that I thought didn't exist. I mean, when I say didn't exist, if you wanted to buy a full line of African furniture back in 1993, you can't walk into a store and say, I like that table to match that chair, that curtain, and so on and so on. So my thesis was on that. First semester is pretty much research. Second semester is prototyping. So I delivered on that, and the jurors pretty much agreed I met my requirements, showing those designs. And then I moved on. About 5 years elapsed, I think, before I got my green card, so I can actually make this a reality. And the green card is, we've had an immigration lawyer and would exactly know what a national interest waiver is. The visa I got is through my design work. So in another 2 years, I proceeded to establish Jomo Design here in Alexandria, Virginia, with friends of mine and money raised through friends. And we pursued this seriously. On one hand, we had a graphic design company that pretty much funded the more expensive side of my business, which was the furniture. Unfortunately, in 2008, I had to close the business as we were losing money and the economy downturn and few clients not paying us. Plus, I was fatigued because it was nonstop, long hours at our studio. But two interesting things happened. One is we participated at the Architectural Digest show just to get a sense of if people would actually like this stuff. The attendees liked it, but we didn't get any press out of it. We got one TV interview, which was great. There was a channel called Fine Living Channel back then. So we got interviewed out of that, but there was no sales out of that one. The second thing that happened in 2008, but unfortunately was the same year we closed our business, was I was selected to be part of Black designers showcasing at Chicago Museum of Science and Industry. But like I said, unfortunately, we had to close that business. I had to move on. I was married with 2 kids, young kids, and I had to get a stable job. And that's how I ended up at the World Bank. So about 8 to 7 years elapsed, and the publisher contacts me and says, we want to feature your design. I was embarrassed to say, I haven't done anything for 7 years. Why would you want to publish my old stuff? They said, it still makes sense to publish it because we're showcasing a whole bunch of African design, and you're one of the people who've been working on African furniture for a while. So that started something interesting because I want to go back here and show you that, sorry. I think I'm clicking. All right, you can see how much activity was happening like in 20 years here. But since 2015, when my work got published, I got invited to 2 major shows. Actually, the one in Ethiopia, Design Week Addis, I didn't even have a piece of furniture. All I had was a computer 3D rendering, because that's all I could do. I have not been in a wood shop in 8 years, and I could not deliver anything. So I said, you can have a poster. That's about it. But that poster was submitted to Dubai Design Week, and the person who organized it said, poster ain't gonna cut it anymore. We need the real thing. So I had to go back into shop, get back my skills, and build prototypes that were needed for this show. And to be honest with you, I have never had a response like this in a way we got in Dubai. Because I never thought people in Dubai would be interested in anything with African theme in it. So I had the wrong misconception about how the market would respond to it because of my bad experience the first time. So I'm now at the stage, let me go back here. So the last show I attended was Milan Furniture Fair, and that is also another invitation. That is the largest furniture event in the world. And they invited about 20 African designers. I was one of the selected ones. I specifically designed one chair for that event. The reason they did that at that fair was they thought it was the right time for African furniture and African home decor to shine. So it was excellent timing for me. So this is the stage I am in. All my work at the end is, of course, to bring my products to the market, but is to leave a legacy of changing this industry. Because if you go to Milan Furniture Fair, I remember counting how many black people I'm gonna see that day. So I only saw 8. That event had about 300,000 people. So you wanna feel like a minority, you go to one of those shows. So I know for a fact, industries are actually licensing and taking ideas from Africa. So if we Africans don't use our heritage, our culture, or things we have and grown up with, and interpret them into products that we sell, someone is gonna see at some point value in it and market it. So it's better to shine now before someone sees it and does that. So things like this are what inspires my work. All I need is one little thing from one culture, and I'll interpret it into something else. So this is one of my chairs that I've designed. It's based on a Maasai shield. That shield has a backrest that you see on the right. The idea is you can pull it out, replace it with another one that's in the back, and use it as an installation piece. This is is an end table or a stool that's based on a water jug that is very widely used within Ethiopia. And this is the chair that was submitted for Milan Design Fair and is based on a Nyala antelope that is found in Ethiopia. And this is what I call my Afro chair, again, based on a hair pick. And this is, and I constantly go back to this because I have a fascination with Ashanti stools. So they have inspired so many of my designs, and this is one that we're working that I'm hopefully will launch around Christmas. We have about 8 designs that an Italian distributor has asked us to provide, and this is one of the 8. So how do I find time to do all this? And I really want to talk about the time that I spend Monday to Friday riding the metro. because that is where all the creativity happens. There is 45 minutes morning ride and 45 minutes back to my home ride. 45-minute ride is 5:15 in the morning for me. That is the most quietest time I get from Springfield all the way to Washington, D.C. That is when I do all my sketches. All my sketches, because of the train movement, are not clean lines. I don't have any of them to show you here, but I have my sketch pad that I can show you later on. I do all my creative work during that time because no one will disturb me. On the way back is when I do my research, my follow-up emails, my social networking, cataloging, people networking if I have to, and I'm talking about electronically here, not talking to anyone on the train, collaboration and learn. And I'm gonna, on the next page, show you some of the tools I use to do this while I'm on the train. So for research, I use Google News, which lets me pretty much pick keywords and give it to it. And anything that involves those keywords in the news, it will email me back. So if I put African furniture or contemporary African furniture, if there's a news item out there, I'll get that. So I like things, I follow up anything related to furniture trends, not only Africa, but just general trends in manufacturing and everything by following my news over Flipboard. Google Analytics is where it helps me, other than, of course, checking what is going on my website. And unfortunately, I don't do much on my website these days. But if I send out a letter to a potential buyer or a licensor, what I do is if I send it, let's say, to Milan, I go into my analytics and check if this email got to someone, and they actually came back and checked my website. So it is, other than just traffic stats, that's what I do. On social networking, my best tool ever is Instagram. Instagram has gotten me further than I've done anything when I had my studio for 8 years. And I would encourage anyone within creative field to do Instagram. Actually, I've reached a point where I've reduced my amount of time on Instagram. LinkedIn, I'm talking about the pro version and not the free one. And that's how I connected to one of the potential licensor for me, is because I'm unafraid to connect with CEOs. I would email them, I try to connect with them. If they ignore me, so what? But at least one German manufacturer responded, and he said, if you're coming to Milan, come and talk to me. I could not believe you could get to a CEO that quickly, but it worked. To quickly wrap up, Trello is for collaboration. I am a big believer in learning, learning, learning. Even when I'm in bed, I go to sleep with my iPad on, watching a learning video. So I encourage everyone to never stop doing that. And I really believe that's why I know so many softwares. It's not because I went to class. It's just YouTubing all the time. And this is the thing I'm in right now because of work. But what I found out is if any of you are into statistics, or if you have kids, teenagers who are into scripting, I encourage you to look into a software called R that will let you scrape a whole bunch of websites' data so quickly you don't have to bookmark them. The idea is you do the research and save money instead of going and spending a lot of money with marketing companies. Some of the statistics are free. Try to find them, scrape it, use it. 3D printing, robotics, and milling, and I just bought a 3-axis milling machine that's sitting in my garage right now. I'm into tech stuff. This is what I do. I'm into 3D modeling and all that stuff. Finally, who's not into crowdfunding? But that is maybe 2019 and in the future. And that, to conclude, that brother of mine who called it an expensive hobby, well, he's my investor right now. Thank you very much.